Holy cow, it's huge! That's what she said. No, I'm talking about the ESO patch notes, patch 1.6. The patch notes are out. I've read them all. Here are the coolest parts that I saw. Hey everybody, it's Ziz here, and we're going to go over some of the coolest parts of the patch notes that I saw. Now, there's like tons of pages. It's like the most patch notes I've ever seen for any game, and as I read through them all, there was some things that jumped out at me that I just wanted to review with you here. Now, if you want to read all the patch notes in their entirety, I'm going to put a link below. I'm also going to have a video reviewing all the patch notes for every single class, for the weapons and the armor, for the champion system, for the justice system. I'm going to get those out as soon as I can. Here in the next few days, I'm going to start rolling all those out for you. But here are some things that stuck out to me that I thought were really pretty cool when I saw them. Now, I'm just going to scroll down here. I got them all listed out. These are pretty much copy and pasted from the patch notes, but you can go check them out yourself. First thing I saw, third-person camera settings have been changed. There's more options. There's also first-person options as well, but you can change the position, the horizontal offset, the vertical offset, the field of view. Now, why is this my first thing out of all the pages of patch notes? Well, the camera has always bugged me. I've always thought it was terrible, and I don't know why it drove me nuts. Hopefully, this should fix it some. It's not going to be perfect, but this should give us some more options. So I'm excited about that. But the huge thing that I was like, what? Rapid maneuver. That's the ability that makes you run really, really fast, and you can use it on your mount to go super quick. You can use it while you're mounted now. So before, you had to jump off your horse, use the ability, jump up back on your horse, and it was such a pain in the butt, I just never did it. And now you can do it while you're mounted. I don't know why. I think that's like super cool. So I'm going to be using that all the time, which is really awesome. On top of that, horses now pass over small objects more consistently. Number 3 on my list, it's just a quality of life thing. You ever get on your mount and you like run into stupid little stuff that you didn't even notice was there? It just drives me nuts. You know what I mean? It just drives me crazy. This should hopefully fix some of that as well. Also, you can swap weapons while you're mounted. So now you're rolling up on that, person that you want to fight. You don't have to hop off your horse, switch weapons, and that's valuable time that you're losing. This is going to make it so you can switch while you're mounted, which, if you add that to the things above, now on your second weapon bar, you can have rapid maneuver. You can use that over and over and over again while you're mounted, and then as soon as you find somebody you want to fight, while you're still mounted, you can switch weapons and then go in for the charge, which I think is really, really cool. And talking about switching weapons, you will now be able to less likely to swap twice when hitting weapon swaps. So sometimes when you're trying to fight, and maybe it's lag or whatever it is, you would swap and then you'd swap right back, which is super annoying because not only are you using the wrong ability, sometimes you could use the wrong ultimate, all these things that were just super frustrating. Hopefully this should take care of that. Now, another thing, in update 6 includes a new collection system. You can put mounts and vanity pets and costumes in it. It's similar, I think, to what you have in like World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2. It's accessible by all of your characters. All of your characters have access to it. This is going to make it really nice because you don't have to buy multiple horses for every single one of your characters now. Like if you have a black horse with stamina, you don't need to get another black horse, or a gold one or whatever, you know what I mean? It's really nice. It's all right there, all the pets and stuff. So hopefully, I was excited about this because now we hopefully won't hear as many people complaining and crying about not having any space in their bags. This should take care of that. So this is exciting. I'm excited about that. Now this is something we kind of knew about. It's called enlightenment, and what it is basically, there's a whole bunch in the patch notes, but basically the way this is going to work is if you're playing one of your veteran rank characters, anything you do to get experience goes towards getting you more champion points, right? But if you're not doing anything that's getting you experience, maybe you're sitting in town, you're AFK, you're talking to somebody, you're RPing, or more importantly, if you're playing a lower level character because they don't count towards your champion points, anytime, all the time, it's going to be accumulating this enlightenment, which is basically like rested experience. And so what that means is when you start to accumulate experience for champion points again, you get it at a faster rate, which is really great for someone like me who has a ton of alts all the time. I'm rolling alts while I'm playing them or doing something that's not getting me champion experience. Basically, it's still helping you when you go back to that anyway. So that's something else I thought was really, really cool. Something else that I noticed stuck out to me is monsters now gain immunity to crowd control for 5 seconds, the same way that players do. This is something that people have been talking about ever since the beta. It was kind of really gamey, where you could just like stun a mob over and over and over and over again. They basically could never attack you, and it was kind of pointless. Now they get immunity, which just makes the game a little more challenging, a little bit better. Also, veteran dungeons will now award significantly more experience. Now, how much more experience? I don't know, but my hope is that you will be able to go and do veteran dungeons over and over and over, not only trying to get the gear and the drops and gold and all that sort of stuff, but hopefully you're going to be able to get enough experience to rank up, get champion points and champion ranks and all that sort of stuff, champion experience, by doing the dungeons over and over instead of having to grind quests or whatever. Hopefully this should give us another mode of gameplay, right? Letting you play how you want to play. Now, this is something we already knew about the AOE caps, but they spelled it out in the patch notes exactly how it's going to work. When you use an AOE, the first 6 people inside the AOE, so they still need to be within however big your AOE is, but the first 6 people it hits take full damage. Now, the way it is in the game right now, that's all there is to it. The first 6 people get hit, and then no one else gets hit. After it, not only the first 6 people get hit, but the next 24 people take 50% damage, and then the next 30 people on top of that take 25% of the damage. So it kind of tapers off the more people there are, but this should really help with AoE, again, Zergs and all that sort of stuff. It makes those AoE abilities a lot better, especially in PvP. Another thing that we knew but is really big is they removed diminishing returns from the game. So those are things like soft caps. No more soft caps. You can stack whatever stat you want. If you want maximum health, maximum magicka, go to town. You can have as much as you want, which I'm excited for. This should give us a lot of build diversity. Now, going along with this, they changed the way spell resistance is going to work. Basically, it's going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. However much armor you have on your item, that's how much spell resistance you have. Now, light armor passives and heavy armor passives and racial bonuses and all these things will still factor into it. But basically, when you look at a piece of armor now, the more armor it has, the more resistance it has, which means heavy armor is going to have the most resistances by a lot. It's going to have a ton of physical resist and magical resist, spell resistances, right? Now, on top of that, they talked about how light armor is going to have about a quarter of what heavy armor is. Now, we knew this already, but we didn't know exactly how much it's going to be. And it's going to be a quarter. Now, this is before spells are taken into consideration, buffs and things like that that people can put on top of themselves. But just in general, this right here shows you how strong heavy armor is going to be compared to light armor as far as taking damage, which is really great because in PvP now, if you're going to wear that light armor, you're going to be pretty squishy, which is great in my opinion. On top of that, medium armor gives about 3/4 of the mitigation heavy armor has. I was pretty surprised by this. I thought it was going to be like maybe half the armor that heavy armor has, but it's 3/4. So if you want to go with like medium armor, you're still kind of not tanky, but you still have some pretty good resistances. And on top of that, you put some spells or abilities that buff your defenses, and you could be pretty darn tanky even with medium armor, which is pretty nice. Some other changes are going to be critical resistance now reduces the bonus damage. So before, critical resist impenetrable would reduce your likelihood of being critically hit, right? So if someone has a bunch of impenetrable, you basically couldn't critically hit that person. Now they can still be critically hit, but if they have enough, it takes that bonus damage down to 0. So it's basically like a normal hit. Now, what's the difference, you say? You can't get crit at all, or you get crit for maybe 0 damage. And the difference is you have those critical hit builds that were completely negated. So like critical surge for sorcerers, if they didn't crit, they didn't get any of that bonus. Now they still critically hit, so they get those kind of secondary effects. They're just not going to have the bonus damage attached to it, which I think is a really cool change. I like that. Some clarification here. Abilities that cost magicka always scale off of your magicka, spell damage, and spell critical strike stats. There was a lot of confusion, especially with like Nightblade abilities and stuff, where it would use magicka, but it would use your melee crit chance and weapon damage and magic, all this stuff. It's kind of confusing. Now it's really simple. If it uses magicka, it uses all those magicka stats. And same thing with stamina. If it uses stamina, then it uses all the stamina, weapon ability damage, your weapon damage, and your critical strike, your weapon critical strike. Just makes more sense. I don't know why it wasn't that way to begin with, but hey, at least it's fixed now for patch 1.6. When you damage an enemy with a light or heavy attack, you receive a buff that grants 3 ultimate per second for 8 seconds. Now, this is a change to the way ultimate works. Basically, right now in the game, there's lots of ways to get ultimate, and if you do a bunch of little attacks, you can get a lot of ultimate fast. The way it's changing now is basically you're going to get 3 ultimate every second while you're using a light and heavy attack. So make sure you're weaving light and heavy attacks at least every 8 seconds, so you keep that buff, because that's how you're going to get ultimate. There's some other abilities that give you a little bit here and there, but that's going to be the main way you get ultimate now, which is going to slow down ultimate regeneration a lot, which I'm actually excited for. Ultimate should be ultimate, right? There should be this like super cool ability, but you see them so often, they're kind of not really ultimate anymore. But this should hopefully take that, and it's really going to sway the fight, which is really pretty cool. Now, if you're a healer, don't worry, because there's a way for you to get ultimate too, even though you're not using light and heavy attacks. And the way it works is if you heal someone who has that buff, you're going to get the buff as well. So all you need to do is just keep healing people just like you are already, and if they have the buff, then it's going to give you the buff. So if you're like doing a dungeon and you're not getting it, then make sure the people you're healing, make sure they know what they're doing as well. Also, synergy abilities scale off your highest stat if it's stamina or magicka. So right now, let's say there's a synergy ability out there and you use it, and maybe you had really low magicka, and the synergy uses magicka, well, that kind of hosed you, right? If you're a stamina build, now it's going to use whatever your highest stat is. So basically, synergies are going to be really strong. So use synergies whenever you can, because they're going to be really good for you. Now, for each buff, there's going to be a major and a minor. We knew this already. They go into depth about it, and there's actually a whole list of all the buffs and debuffs that are available now. I'm not going to list them all here, but you can go check them out. And I actually really like this change, because right now in the game, there's so many buffs and debuffs, and there's stuff all over, and they don't make sense because they don't have very good tooltips that explain, you know, really how much is what and this and that. This change is going to make it kind of standardized, but I think there's enough buffs and debuffs to still keep it interesting. And just remember, basically, you can't have 2 of the same buff. If you have something that gives you a bunch of armor, maybe you have like a major armor buff, you can't have 2 of those active at the same time. So I really like that. I think it's good. We'll see how it plays out, but I think it's really going to work and make it a lot more easy to understand. Right here, it's talking about how they can't stack. I just said that, but the patch notes also reiterate it. Another thing they did was the entire tutorial, the Wailing Prison, has been revisited, which means they basically changed a bunch of stuff in the tutorial. Now, almost all of you who are watching probably already have a character and you've already passed the tutorial, but if you want to go check it out, it should be a little bit better. This is like the 4th time they've changed the tutorial, so I don't know. They should have just made it good to begin with, but hey, at least all the new people are going to have a good one. I don't know. They spend all this time on the tutorial, but it takes like 5 or 10 minutes. I know it's your initial impression of the game, and it should be great, but it seems like a lot of time is spent on it. Also, there's a provisioning revamp. Now, I don't do any provisioning. I don't do any crafting. I didn't even read it all because there's so much stuff. But if you are into provisioning, go check it out. There's a ton of stuff in the patch notes all about it. It's like a complete revamp. People are excited about it. I don't know. Go check it out. Now, talking about some revamps, these are some things that stuck out for me for classes. Now, like I said earlier, I'm going to do a video for every single class, video from the test server, talking about every change that comes to classes. But while I was reading through them, there were some things that stuck out to me, the new abilities and some other things, so we'll just go over those real quick. First is the Dragonite. Their Inferno ability changed. Basically, it's going to be this like giant like ball of fire thing that like goes around you like a mage light, and it like shoots people. Boom, 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 and it shoots them, which I think is pretty cool. You can't really control it, so in an AOE situation, it's going to be kind of random, but I don't know. It could be cool. Depends on how much damage it does. I'm interested to see what it works, how it works. Another thing that really stuck out to me was Fiery Grip. It said that if your Fiery Grip, so that's the one where you chain and you pull them to you. And right now, if they are like immune to CC, just nothing happens. But the patch notes said that if you can't pull your target to you, it's going to pull you to your target. Right? So I just really foresee a lot of Dragonites trying to pull people down off keep walls and stuff, or whatever, wherever in these giant Zergs, and it's not gonna work on them, and they're gonna get pulled. I don't know. It could cause some problems where people just abuse it and they pull themselves up onto enemy keeps and stuff like that. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. Another thing is reflective scale. This is where the Dragonite uses the wings and it puts up a shield in front and it reflects all the projectiles. Right now, there's no limit. It's unlimited. So that's why you see Dragonites like walking into the middle of a Zerg and they live a long time, because no one with a ranged ability can like hit them at all. Now it's going to be limited to 4 projectiles, which I think is really great. The shield morph only, because there's a shield ability that does the same thing, but that's only like 1 or 2 projectiles, and this is 4, so it's still better, but it's not unlimited, which is actually really, really nice. Balance changes, thank you. Now, going on to Sorcerer, there was a ton of pet changes that came in. Tons of pet changes. I hate pets. I never use pets. I didn't even read it all. But basically, it looks like pets are going to take way less AoE damage, so they're not going to die all the time to AoE. Plus, they're going to do some more damage. Their stats are going to work a little bit better with what your stats are. Things like that. So if you're into pets, or maybe you want to use pets, this is good news for you. Another thing that stuck out to me was that Daedric Curse. That's the sorcerer ability where you put it on and it sits there for a few seconds and it blows up, right? It says now that a target, right now I think you can only have 1, right? So let's say I put Daedric Curse on somebody and someone else puts one on, it overwrites it, right? Overwrites it. So you can only have 1 on the target at a time. The change said they can have as many as they want. Now, each person, you can only put 1 on your target at a time. But in PvP, if there's 50 people out there and you get 15 Daedric Curses put on you, when that explodes, people are going to be dropping like flies. It's going to be pretty hilarious. So that's pretty awesome. Also, Dark Exchange. That's where the sorcerer can convert stamina into health and magicka and vice versa. Now you can move with all ranks and all morphs. So that's one thing that kind of hurt sorcerers. They didn't have a way of regenerating health. This is going to be able to do that for them. Well, you can do it while you're moving around. It's not a problem. There's also a morph for it, which instead of using stamina to get stats back, you use magicka. So you can use it for either a magicka or a stamina build. So that's pretty cool. And that's right there, what I just said. Now, going on to Nightblade. Haste. The haste ability was completely removed, and it was replaced with a new ability called Grim Focus. And the way it's going to work is it's going to make your light and heavy attacks, you do more damage, and it gives you a charge. So while you're using light and heavy attacks, you get these charges, and then when you get up to 8 charges, it gives you this ability to like shoot them with like this spectral ability, which is a ranged damage thing. So it sounds like it's probably going to be really good for people who use a bow. Melee, it's okay. I mean, you do a little more damage, and then you don't really need the ranged component. I mean, sometimes, but it sounds like it could be pretty interesting. We'll have to see how much damage it does. But that's their new ability. Now here is Mark Target. Now Mark Target's the one where you put it on your target and it lowers all their resistances, but it lowers your resistances too, right? So it's kind of a trade-off. Now it doesn't lower the Nightblade's resistances at all. So basically you can use Mark Target as much as you want on every single target. It doesn't hurt you in any way. They also reduce the cost of it by 50%, so it costs half as much. So you can expect to see Nightblades using this ability all the time, especially against heavy armor targets, because heavy armor now is going to have all those resistances, right? Tons of resistance for physical and magicka, so that really helps there. Now, these are the Templar abilities. The ability Blinding Light was replaced with an ability called Radiant Destruction, and it's this channeled ability. It's going to kind of look like, I imagine, the ultimate ability, Soul Strike, you know, where it's like the light beam of death, and you just blow them up. It's basically going to work like that. It takes 3 seconds, does damage, and then the lower health your target is, it does more and more damage. So that's pretty cool. It's like a finisher ability for Templars because they didn't have one of those as a class skill before. So that's pretty cool. The morphs for it, one either heals you for the damage you do, or the other one makes it so you do more damage the more magicka you have. So that's pretty cool. Some pretty cool abilities there. Also, Backlash. ignores the damage caused by other player characters using Backlash. Multiple casters can all stack Backlash. So Backlash is the one where you put it on and then it absorbs, like, it doesn't absorb the damage, but it, like, after a little while it blows up for however much damage had been done, right? So like you put it on and then after a few seconds it blows up and does a bunch more damage. And it was actually really good. Now you can have a bunch of people all with the same thing. So same thing like with the sorcerer ability above. I think we might see people with like a bunch of these backlashes on them. They can just blow up all at once, which is going to be pretty funny. Another ability here, a dual wield Sparks ability was removed. Sparks is the one that blinded people and they couldn't attack you. It's been completely replaced with an ability called Blade Cloak, which reduces the AOE damage you take. And then if you're hit with an AOE ability, you deal damage to everybody around you, and it can happen like every 2 seconds. Kind of strange. I don't know. I don't remember there ever being huge problems with the Sparks ability with blinding people. I don't know if there was a huge outcry for AOE damage reduction for dual wielding. I don't know. Kind of strange. Also, Mage Light now. Basic Mage Light does not reveal stealth players, and that's why I put this in here, because now if you're out in PvP, when patch 1.6 hits, if you see someone with Mage Light, they might not be able to see you if you're stealth. There's probably going to be a visual difference between the two. I don't know what it looks like yet, but there's only one more for Mage Light that's going to reveal stealth characters. So if that's important to you, make sure you figure out what the difference looks like when that comes out. And last but certainly not least, lots of bugs, but pages of bug fixes. So while I was reading through here, right towards the top of the patch notes, it starts to list off all of these problems that they already know about. I didn't even read them all because I knew there would be problems. But right at the top, one of like the first things says that because of the justice system, you can talk to guards now, right? And if they're trying to collect a bounty from you while you're talking to them, if you log out during that conversation, if you try to log back in, you're stuck on an infinite load screen. And it did not say anything about a workaround or how to fix it or anything. So I don't know, maybe your character is just completely gone. This is on the PTS, so you can just make another character. But I kind of got, you're looking at, there's like all these bugs. So if you have something go on the PTS, check out that list of bugs. There's probably a lot. However, there are pages and pages of bug fixes. Now, if you're stuck on a quest, if something really bugged you, a bug, haha, there's pages and pages of bug fixes. So even though there's some bugs they're introducing, which is kind of expected, hopefully all these pages of bug fixes will counteract that and the game's going to feel better. Overall, I'm excited. There's a ton of stuff. This was just some things that stuck out to me while I was reading through it. Like I said, I'm going to do a video on all the classes, on the justice system, on the champion system. I'm really excited. Hopefully this makes the game feel great. Adds a lot to it. I am really, really excited. I think it's going to be great. I haven't jumped into PTS. I just got home. I want to put this video up for you all. Let me know in the comments below. If you read the patch notes or maybe you've seen something, what's the biggest thing that stuck out to you?